The vault door hissed shut like a coffin lid, trapping me in the metallic chill with nothing but the hum of servers and the weight of my own pounding heart. "You're nothing but a fraud, Victor. Always have been." Joel's voice snarled through the speakerphone I just smashed against the wall, shards of plastic scattering like broken promises across the floor. In that frozen second, as red emergency lights pulsed like accusations, I realized the man I'd loved for a decade had just sold me out. Not just to the feds, but to the ghost of who I thought I was. I'm Victor Hale, born and raised in the Rust Belt shadow of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the steel mills died long before I could dream of escaping their smoke. Our family bank, Hale Community Savings, wasn't some Wall Street behemoth. It was a squat brick building on Elm Street, the kind of place where grandmas cashed Social Security checks and kids saved quarters for comic books. Dad built it from nothing after the mills shuttered in '82. A lifeline for folks who'd lost everything else. By 28, I'd inherited the teller window from him, polishing the brass fixtures, counting deposits with the precision of a man afraid to make waves. But waves? Hell, I was a goddamn tsunami waiting to crash, all because of the secret I'd buried deeper than the vault codes. It started small, like most reckonings do in a town where queer is still whispered like a curse. I'd always known, deep in my gut, that the crushes on high school jocks weren't just bromance. But growing up Hale meant straight-laced Sundays at First Presbyterian, football tailgates with Dad's old cronies, and a family legacy that demanded you fit the mold or get chipped away. So I played the part. Dated Sarah from accounting for 2 awkward years in college, proposed with a ring I picked out blindfolded by nerves. We called it off the night she found my browser history. Searches for coming-out stories that I deleted 100 times, but couldn't erase from my soul. That's when Joel walked back into my life, fresh off a stint in the Marines, all broad shoulders and that crooked grin that could disarm a bomb. We'd been inseparable as kids, fishing the Monongahela, sneaking beers behind the VFW hall, sharing secrets under the rusted bridge where the river whispered freedoms we'd never claim. He was the straight one, or so I told myself, the golden boy who married his high school sweetheart and popped out a kid before deployment. But war changes a man, carves out hollows where doubts fester. He came home different, quieter, with eyes that lingered too long on mine during our Friday night poker games at the Elks Lodge. One rain-soaked evening in the bank's back office, after closing up with the ledgers, it happened. We'd been joking about Dad's ghost haunting the adding machines, and then Joel's hand brushed mine over a stack of deposit slips. The air thickened, electric as a summer storm. "Vic," he said, voice rough like gravel. "You ever wonder if we're just pretending?" I froze, heart slamming against my ribs. His lips met mine, tentative at first, then hungry, like he'd been starving for years. It wasn't fireworks. It was a dam breaking, flooding everything I'd dammed up since puberty. We didn't talk labels that night, just held each other in the dim glow of the desk lamp, the scent of his aftershave mixing with the musty ink of old checks. For the first time I felt seen, not as the dutiful son or the reliable teller, but as Victor, raw, real, alive. But love in a town like ours? It's a minefield disguised as a meadow. We kept it hidden. Stolen kisses in the truck on back roads, late-night texts coded like spies, "Need you at the Overlook," and Joel crashing at my apartment above the hardware store, claiming divorce drama to anyone who asked. His marriage had crumbled under the strain of his absences, the unspoken truths. "I'm done lying," he'd whisper into my neck, fingers tracing the scars from my old mill rat summers. And God, I believed him. Joel was my anchor, the one who made me dream of a life beyond Elm Street. Maybe a quiet place upstate, adopting a dog, building something ours without the weight of prying eyes. The bank, though, that was the real ticking bomb. Hale Savings was hemorrhaging cash, not from bad loans but something sinister. A string of ghost withdrawals, millions siphoned into offshore accounts, traced back to hacked systems. Dad had trusted an old college buddy, Harlan Crow, to modernize our outdated servers with some fly-by-night cybersecurity firm. Turns out, Harlan was knee-deep in it, skimming for a cartel ring out of Philly, using our quaint little vault as a laundering front. The feds were circling, subpoenas stacking up like foreclosure notices. Dad, bedridden with emphysema, called me into his hospital room one gray October afternoon, his oxygen mask fogging with labored breaths. "Vic, you're the only one I trust with this. Find the breach. Save what I built. His hand, papery and veined, gripped mine. And son, be you. Whatever that means. I dove in headfirst, teaching myself code from YouTube tutorials and dusty IT manuals in the library. Nights blurred into dawns. Coffee-fueled marathons in the vault where the signal was strongest. Joel helped at first, holding flashlights, cracking dad jokes to keep me sane. My hero, he'd tease, kissing my temple. But doubts crept in like fog off the river. He'd dodge questions about his finances, vanish for errands that stretched into weekends. I chalked it up to custody battles, the divorce grinding him down. Love makes you blind, or maybe I just wanted to be. The betrayal hit like a freight train on Black Friday, the busiest day at the bank. Crowds swelled the lobby, shoppers cashing holiday checks, small business owners depositing Black Friday hauls. I was mid-transaction, smiling through gritted teeth at Mrs. Kowalski's chit-chat about her grandkids, when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check the logs. Vic Harlan's not the only thief. Attached was a screenshot, transaction records, timestamps matching Joel's errands. My stomach dropped colder than a winter dive in the Allegheny. Heart racing. I slipped into the back, pulling up the vault access cams on my laptop. There he was, Joel, badge from Harlan's firm clipped to his jacket, plugging in a drive last Tuesday night while I slept upstairs. The metadata didn't lie, uploads to encrypted servers funneling data straight to the cartel. He'd played me, used our nights together to scout the systems, my passwords whispered in pillow talk turned weapons. Worse, the final file, an email chain with Harlan trading my vulnerabilities for a cut. Victor's soft on the queer stuff. Distract him with that. Feds'll bury him first. The words blurred through tears. Not just theft. He'd weaponized my identity, the one fragile thing I'd started to claim. Rage boiled over reason. I confronted him that night in the empty parking lot behind the diner. Sodium lights buzzing like angry hornets. Rain slicked the asphalt, turning the world to black mirror. How could you? I shouted, shoving the printouts into his chest. Joel's face crumpled. Not denial, but something worse. Guilt laced with desperation. Vic, listen, Harlan's got my kid. Leverage. If I didn't play along. He trailed off, eyes wild. Lies, all of it. The feds had his number. He'd been feeding them scraps while pocketing the rest. A double agent chasing his own score. You're no better than me. He spat, voice cracking. Hiding who you are, playing teller boy for daddy's ghost. We're both frauds. His words sliced deeper than any knife. I turned, walking into the downpour, the betrayal a stone in my chest. But walking away, that wasn't me anymore. Not the Victor who'd spent years shrinking to fit. By dawn, soaked and shivering in the vault, I pieced it together. The kill switch Harlan buried in the code, a virus that would wipe our servers clean come midnight, framing me as the insider leak. Joel's access had given me the breadcrumbs. Timestamps, backdoors, the USB key he'd left behind in his haste, now clutched in my fist like a grenade pin. The climax unfolded in that vault. Sirens wailing distant as feds stormed the lobby. Harlan burst in first, wild-eyed and sweating, flanked by two goons in ill-fitting suits. Cartel muscle smelling of cheap cologne and panic. Hand it over, hail, he growled, pistol glinting under the fluorescence. The drive, or your little bank's a memory. I backed against the server rack, the USB burning in my palm. This was it, the key not just to the breach but to exposing the whole rotten network. My fingers flew over the keyboard, initiating the purge. Uploading evidence to a secure cloud Dad had set up years ago. Alerts pinging to the FBI's cyber unit. A shot cracked the air, warning fire, splintering the wall inches from my head. Now! Harlan lunged, but Joel appeared in the doorway like a specter, tackling one goon in a blur of fists and fury. Betrayal's cruel twist. He'd flipped at the last second. Anonymous tip to the feds, his redemption play. Chaos erupted, grunts, thuds, the acrid bite of gunpowder. I dodged, slamming the USB home, the screen flooding with green. Transfer complete. Virus neutralized. Harlan's face twisted in rage as cuffs snapped on. But it was Joel's eyes that locked on mine. Pleading, broken. A stray bullet grazed my arm, hot pain blooming. But I held ground, whispering the code that locked the vault on them all. In the aftermath, as medics bandaged my wound under the harsh air lights, the bank was saved. Not by heroes in capes, but by a teller who'd finally claimed his voice. The feds pieced it together. Joel's partial cooperation had cracked the cartel wide, but it was my dive into the code that sealed it. Dad passed a week later, peaceful, murmuring pride through his haze. Knew you had it in you, son. The funeral was packed. Townsfolk who'd whispered now clapped my back. The Pittsburgh Post-Gazette running a front page on the Hale heist foiled by hometown hero. Joel showed up at the graveside, bruised and bandaged, his kid tugging at his coat. I never stopped loving you, Vic. I was scared of losing everything. But I lost you instead. Rain misted the bouquets, the river murmuring forgiveness in the distance. I didn't take him back. Not then. Betrayal's scar runs deep, a reminder that love demands truth, not just touch. But months on, over black coffee at the diner, we really talked, about the closets we'd both hid in, the fears that twisted us into thieves of our own hearts. He moved closer, started therapy, fought for weekends with his boy. And me? I came out at the next town hall, voice steady as I announced expansions for queer youth programs at the bank. Cheers rose, not pity but solidarity, the America I believed in, flawed but fighting. Now, 2 years later, Joel and I walk the Monongahela's banks, hands brushing without shame, his kids skipping stones ahead. The bank's thriving, a beacon in the rust. I've stopped questioning my identity. It's woven into every deposit, every code line, every quiet, I love you, under the bridge. Turns out, the key to the future wasn't in a vault. It was in letting the real me unlock the door.